Ukraine as an ethno-nationalist, Spartan, hyper-militarized bastion armed to the teeth by NATO, existing for years in a state of permanent war for Russia and us, the taxpayers, with nothing we can do about it. Zelensky articulated this vision in a chilling statement this April. Here's what he said: "We cannot talk about being a Switzerland of the future, but we will definitely become a big Israel with its own face. A big Israel. We will not be surprised that we will have representatives of the armed forces or the National Guard. In all institutions, supermarkets, cinemas, there will be people with weapons. I am sure that our security issue will be number one in the next 10 years. And by the time Zelensky said that in April, NATO leaders were already imagining a, quote, Israeli-style security agreement for Ukraine that would, quote, give priority to arms transfers and advanced technology. This was reported in May by the Wall Street Journal, entailing multi-year commitments to provide funding and weapons and well into the future, as the Washington Post reported. As my colleague Aaron Mate explained, such agreements would prevent the public from having any say in how their tax dollars were spent. So in order to defend democracy in Ukraine, and I'll come back to this in the end, democracy must first be curtailed at home. This is what big Israel means. And Blinken has blocked diplomacy at every path to guarantee the consolidation of this vision. Over the coming months, he declared in a speech in June, some countries will call for a ceasefire. And while ceasefires sound sensible, he said, a ceasefire that simply freezes current lines in place and enables Putin to control territory would reward the aggressor and punish the victim. And in the same breath, he called for long-term funding to shape Ukraine into that big Israel. What Alexander Haig just said of Israel would be America's unsinkable aircraft carrier, not in the Middle East, but in the heart of Europe. That's the vision. Now, over at the Atlantic Council, right around this same time, before the counteroffensive, the Atlantic Council being the unofficial think tank of NATO down on K Street, funded by arms manufacturers, the US, UK, Gulf states, and Hunter Biden's former employers at Burisma. That's right, they took $200,000 from Burisma. Someone named Daniel B. Shapiro authored a roadmap for how to transform Ukraine into a big Israel. Who is Shapiro? He's the former U.S. ambassador to Israel under Obama, who actually stayed with his family in Israel after his tenure ended and took up several jobs advising some of the most malicious Israeli spy tech companies. He's also part of the Biden clique. He was put forward as a Mideast liaison despite residing in Israel, not the U.S. And he embodies the liberal political class that is both financially and emotionally invested in Project Ukraine, which will soon become the big Israel. Shapiro, in his first guideline for turning Ukraine into big Israel, stated, technology is key. Of course he would say that. Now, first of all, Daniel Shapiro, he was a consultant for West Exec Advisors, a consulting firm founded by Tony Blinken, now Secretary of State, to hump in contracts from tech companies through the Pentagon. So it's very lucrative for him to have another tech center in Ukraine that's in a perpetual state of war. He also worked with the NSO Group, the Israeli company, which has been responsible for spying on dozens and dozens of journalists, human rights activists, common citizens, was even allegedly involved in the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. This guy likes tech. He likes tech for very specific purposes. Tech is, of course, central to the big Israel project and the actual Israel project, because what has Israel been able to do? What value does it present to the tech world? Well, it holds close to 7 million indigenous Palestinians effectively hostage under its occupation and system of apartheid, and it's able to test some of the most innovative tech systems through its cyber warfare division, Unit 8200 on them. Then it takes it and it exports it abroad, and if you're looking for spy tech, well, you want it to be tested on a restive population. So they have that ability, so the world turns to Israel. Ukraine is next. So tech in a war zone like Ukraine will accelerate the fourth industrial revolution and the Great Reset that World Economic Forum director Klaus Schwab said would merge the digital with the biological. Countries like Ukraine in conflict zones are necessary, just as Israel is necessary, a state in permanent war.